Hello, everyone. We're super excited. Welcome to ReZume Arts for November 25th segment. I am super disappointed that we were not able to do the Facebook Live. For some reason, the Facebook Live system was just unwilling to work. However, we have a really great conversation going on today, and I'm really excited to introduce you to two great artists that are going to talk a lot about a lot of things, I'm sure, because we've already been having a really juicy conversation while we've been waiting. But first, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Kathryn Gonzalez. I work as a program assistant with Region 2 Arts Council, and ReZume Arts is an initiative that we have to showcase artists around our area. And today, I have the pleasure of introducing you to Shannon Lucas-Westrum, who is a maker of many sorts, and then Kelly Schultz, who is an amazing milliner, and she will be talking to you all about that art and everything that comes with it, because there's so much happening. So welcome to both of you. Thank you so much for your patience in our technological glitch that we had today. We usually have it streaming on Facebook so that we can allow people to engage. And I have a lot of questions for you, and you already have a lot of questions for each other. So I would just love to start off by just inviting each of you to tell us a little bit about you as artists, kind of how did you get started? And then, you know, maybe a little bit about what you're up to and really engaging that organic conversation across you both artists so that you can talk about your artwork with each other. So Kelly, how about if we start with you?
Okay. I am Kelly Schultz. I have been making hats for a very long time, but didn't really get into the whole millinery part of it until 2011 when Prince William and Kate Middleton got married, and watching the royal wedding and seeing all the beautiful hats inspired me to make these crazy hats just like the royals and the British wear. And from there, it just kind of evolved into a labor of love for me. I've made, I don't know how many hundreds of hats and fascinators. They call them fascinators over there across the pond. But I'm still learning. I consider myself more of an emerging designer still, because there's so much to learn about millinery. I've taken advantage of 2020's lack of events, I guess you could say, and took multiple Zoom classes with a variety of master milliners who are from all over, whether it be Italy, in England and Ireland and France. So it's really been fun to just kind of learn and take advantage of some of the downtime I've had from doing custom pieces. And I guess it's been incredible just learning new stuff. I normally would go buy certain things at the craft stores, and now I'm actually making silk flowers. It's been fun. So it's been a learning lesson, and my craft keeps evolving. When I first started out, my pieces were simple and mostly glued together. Now I'm doing a lot of hand sculpting with different materials, and doing a lot of hand sewing of pieces. So it's been a lot of fun.
Wow, it sounds amazing. And I really look forward to asking you a lot of questions about your artwork. So thank you. Shannon, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Shannon Lucas-Westrum. I am primarily a basket weaver and jewelry designer. I have been weaving just figured out, I was thinking about, and I started weaving baskets when I was gifted a handmade basket when Jess and I got married many moons ago. And the person who gave the basket to me said her mom made it. And I thought, I didn't even know people around here made baskets. That was completely foreign to me. And I like, you know, the theory that baskets and bags are great for containing things. And I am not an overly contained person. So collecting baskets is big on me. So I thought, well, I enjoy them that much, I should make them. So, you know, I've been having some fun with that.
Wow. And I remember that you had some really great trips happening around that too. So I really look forward to learning more about that. And I know you've got some really great things that you're doing with your family as creators. And so I'm just really excited to hear more about that with each of you. And I know we're having a little bit of on and off problems with your signal, Shannon. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So, you know, so one of the things that I really love is how you both have been using this time for your craft. And I know, Kelly, you were showing us a little bit about some of the things you were really excited about. Would you care to share with everyone about what you've been exploring?
Absolutely. London Hat Week typically happens in April, but because of COVID, they moved it back to the fall. And I was able to take some Zoom classes during London Hat Week, but before I took those classes, I had the opportunity to take a swirled cinema class with Lena Stein Millinery. And she is actually Australian, but lives in Ireland. I know. And so I learned, I'll show you some of the pieces, basically using a material called cinema. This one, it starts out as a flat piece of cinema, and using steam and moisture, you basically shape it into what it ends up becoming. It's quite the task. I've made this one, I'm actually still working on here, where you can curl and twist and twirl. So that was actually super fun. It was a very early morning for me because the class was offered obviously for British time. So it was like 4 a.m. our time. So I had to get up bright and early and learn how to make these. And here's one of my finished pieces. It's looks more like a fedora. So it's got the
beautiful, wow,
flower on it. It just sits like that. So that was the first class I took, and that was with Lena. And then I took during Hat Week, which was the week of October 12th, right around the 6th through the 12th, I think. I took a class with Tracy Chaplin. Now she is from England, but has a beautiful studio home in the south of France where she teaches classes. And I someday want to get there and take her week-long classes. But at this time, obviously money's a little tight, but she did a class called Freeform Trims. And so I got a chance to work with different types of materials. I have them all sitting out here. So different materials like buntal and crinoline, and there's actual, and using millinery wire. So this is actually shaped with cinema and then using the wire inside that's actually stitched. So I don't know if you can see that. And that'll be like an embellishment on a hat. So it could go like, and then this one's ginseng buntal, and that is actually a straw from the Philippines, I want to say. I think I got a note on that. It's from Burry palm leaves. So I'm learning all kinds of like new things about the different textiles that are out there for millinery. So that's a buntal with crinoline. And then this one, or no, this is buntal with crinoline, sorry. And it's actually used a lot for straw hats, like the Panama hats. And then parasisal is, I'll show you what this stuff actually looks like this. It comes in this roll. And it shreds really super easily. So I learned how to keep it from not shredding, and then using it again with crinoline and making these lovely embellishments that can go on hats. So that was the first class I took with Tracy Chaplin. And I have loved all the classes I've taken. All the instructors have been amazing. I did take a second class with Tracy called, what was it called? The Lure Felt. So of course, for those of us in Minnesota who wear a lot of winter hats, I've been wanting to get into more creating with wool and those kind of textiles to keep us warm. And I'm still learning. I still have a long way to go. I actually ended up forming this beautiful hat out of, where did I put it? I know it's here somewhere. Oh, so it's actually rabbit fur velour. So that This is just the form. So it's called Cape Line. And basically I had formed it and then I took it apart and like re-steamed it, and I'm going to start over because I didn't like it. So I'm still in the process of working with this piece, but I'm really excited because it's so soft and it's woolly and warm. So that's my next project. So that's with Tracy Chaplin. And then I took another class. As I mentioned before, I used to buy all my things at craft stores. And I took a class with Julia Mio. She is Italian, now living out of England. And it was for silk flower making. So there's my creations. So I actually learned how to make handcrafted silk flowers. You start, I've got these two connected right now because I had them hanging up, but these were the first two I made. So I'm really proud of them. I haven't put them on anything, but I did make a third flower and put it on one of my hats here. Let's see if I can find it. Okay. So there's that one. And this is one of the swirled hats that I learned to make through Lena Stein's class, and then the Julia Mio. Wow. Julia Mio flower. And then I added a vintage brooch that I got from a good friend of mine here in Bemidji. Her mom had a garage sale this summer and was getting rid of all of her vintage costume jewelry and such. So she gave them all to me and said, make something fun with them. So
that is pretty amazing.
So there's that hat. So yeah, I've spent 2020 just investing in my craft by learning and then buying tools like my fabulous flower making soldering iron. So the fun part and not so fun part about making silk flowers is that you have to cut out all these little pieces. You get little patterns. And yeah, that like these flowers here have at least 38 petals, I want to say. So that's a lot of ironing and cutting. And I dyed the fabric myself. So I started from scratch completely. I bought like it's like a silk sateen or whatever and dyed it, which was a challenge too, because then I'm finding out that there's certain dyes for natural fabrics and dyes for synthetic fabrics, and depending on what you use to dye them, they don't dye very well. So, but the cool thing is that this one, I don't know if you can see it, but it like, because the dye didn't take as well, it kind of gave it kind of that variegated look. So it looks more natural actually.
Yeah.
So it's not all the same color. So yeah. So that's basically what I've been doing to keep busy. And I've learned so much this year. I'm kind of overwhelmed. Like I get to one step and I'm like, okay, I got to set that aside and start something different. But I love it. It's been fun.
Yeah, that's so great. And Shannon, I know
they're really beautiful, Kelly.
Thank you.
With so many of the things that you do, Shannon, with the dyeing and just fiber work that you do, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I spend a lot of time in my driveway with my, turkey cooker, my dye pot out there. My contractors think I've kind of, gone insane. I'm out there with my big pot stirring whatever brew I have going that day.
And we are having a little bit of internet issues. Oh, there we go. You're back. Sorry, Shannon. We didn't
hear me. Okay. Okay. I just was talking about the fact that I typically dye in a big turkey cooker out in my driveway. Okay. And so I'm out there with this huge pot, big stirring these bubbling cauldrons of things out in the driveway. So I'm certain I'm fascinating to the neighbors.
No kidding. I know that you've been doing quite a bit also during this year, which has been kind of taking things in an interesting place for yourself. What's been happening for you?
Yeah, well, when the pandemic started, I was kind of, and they started doing these lockdowns and things. I thought, okay, I want to do something two things. One, I want to keep myself motivated. And two, I want to do something that's sort of part of a community, sort of keeping people, you know, communicating with each other and talking and engaged. And so we came up with this idea, the family and I, of doing what we call a this or that projects. And so every day on my Instagram and my Facebook pages, we post 2 different materials, and whoever wants to vote can vote. And so it might be something simple, like, you know, I've made everything from pillowcases to, you know, fancy baskets and, you know, leaves woven out of sticks from my yard, that sort of thing. It might be pearls, but it's great because, you know, I can get anywhere from, you know, 5 votes to 60 votes. And then the next day I make a project based on whatever the vote won for that day. And so I've done now 253 days since we all started. And I took that idea and rolled it into a proposal I sent to the Minnesota State Arts Board. And that I just found out I got that grant. Can you still hear me?
Yes, congratulations.
So,
that's exciting.
So yeah, I'm actually really excited about that, and I'm taking this or that and making it bigger. Wow. And so my new program is called, or new show it's going to be, is called All in a Day's Work. And I will take once a week, take the whole day, and like an 8-hour day, and do bigger projects than what I've been able to do with these, you know, the little things. So it might be making brooms or antler baskets, or, you know, things like this that take a lot longer because they're just a lot more intricate. And so these sort of project, and at the end hopefully have a really interesting collection of fiber arts, you know, using willow and rattan and, you know, broomcorn, all those things, and then share it though. So we'll be doing, you know, periodic live recordings and sharing those on our Facebook pages, and also soliciting, you know, votes from people on, you know, maybe projects or materials or colors. You know, it'll change every week. But again, I want the wider community to be able to participate and vote on what we're going to do. And then we'll do Facebook Live updates throughout the day. I have one of my daughters is going to record for me and just show people kind of what the progress is and where we're going. And, you know, if there's smaller projects, maybe I'll make 3 or 4 of something. And if it's a big project, that might be all that gets done, is that one piece each day. But I'm really excited about it. And I'm just waiting for the official go ahead to start with that. Fingers crossed on next week.
Wow, that sounds really exciting. So how can people get a hold of you? Like, how can they participate in that, Shannon?
What I'm going to do is post all of it on my Shannon Lucas-Westrum -artist Facebook page. That's okay. Where we'll be posting the lives and that sort of thing. I am going to do a big announcement on that page. You know, I'll pin it with links to, you know, do you want to get email updates? Don't forget to log in tomorrow, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then also I'll probably do that on my Wildflower Design Studios on Instagram. We'll do pop-ups in the story. But yeah, I'm really excited about that because I really love the interaction of people, you know, caring what gets made and waiting for the end result, you know, that sort of thing. I've had people who have, you know, just been like, you know, it's been a really hard week for me because either, you know, their business is struggling, or someone's sick, or they're just depressed because they're stuck at home. Mm-hmm. And they said, you know what, I couldn't even go online today, but I did because I really wanted to vote. And awesome. It's just a little thing, but it's a way that we can sort of stay connected.
Yeah. So, and this is a really good opportunity for me to tell anybody who's viewing this video, remember that you can go to the Region 2 Arts Council page, r2arts.org, and you will see a button that says ReZume Arts, and you can click on that button and you can get the information and contact information every which way that you can contact these artists through that. So if you want to stay connected, figure out that this and that, and then be involved in this new initiative, we really encourage you to go to that webpage. That's awesome.
That would be great.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, there's just like so much richness between both of you. Like, you're amazing makers in each in your own way. And I'm curious about what is you know, how do you get your inspiration? I mean, Shannon, you talked a little bit about asking people, but you know, I'm just curious, how do you get your artistic inspiration?
Kelly?
Oh, me or you, Shannon?
I pick you.
Oh, you vote me. Okay. I get mine all over the place. I'm always inspired by different designers. Like, I never knew this until most recently that Coco Chanel started out her career in fashion as a milliner. So I've always been a big fan of Chanel, even though I can't afford it, but love their fragrances that I can afford, but the actual clothing, I wish someday. But I get inspired a lot of times by, well, the first thing I get inspired from is probably just the surroundings here in northern Minnesota, like the different birds and flowers and trees. And, you know, I live like 3 blocks away from Lake Bemidji. So just being around that and being able to get kind of in touch with nature. So a lot of the materials I try to use are like, if I use feathers, I try to use feathers from birds here that are native in Minnesota that, you know, are either hunted, not killed, you know, in a horrible manner or whatever. I try to be conscious about that. I also am inspired by movie and celebrities. It's hard not to get caught up in that. I mean, like, I love watching the award shows, the red carpets, and obviously the royal weddings, but I don't know. I just get inspired by a lot of things. It just, a lot of my designs, people ask me, well, where'd that come from? I'm like, well, probably just my head and my heart, mostly, but yeah, really, it's just a combination of a lot of things. So.
Awesome. I love that. I love it. I was laughing when you were talking about, or to myself, you know, about being inspired by nature and the things around you. And, you know, a lot of the things that I do, especially when weaving, I like to use focal points like antlers or driftwood or things like that. And so, you know, a couple of my recent pieces are really sort of random, but I love that they take advantage of the shapes of things that I have been, you know, working with, you know, like things like this little guy has actually feet, antler feet. It's just a little bowl, but you kind of start off with, you know, the shape of okay, that's what this really wants to be right now, you know. Okay, there. This one I want to show you just because I just did it about a week ago and I thought it was super fun. This is a piece of Lake Superior driftwood, and it was a fun horseshoe shape. Whoops, holding on to it crooked there. But it was a fun horseshoe shape, and I thought, what can I do with that that's interesting, you know? And so this is a little wall pouch kind of a thing. But just seagrass and rattan, and you know, we spent a lot of time as a family walking up and down the, you know, like the shore of Lake Superior, or, you know, looking at antlers going, which direction is it supposed to sit? And then after that, which direction it's supposed to sit, which way we like it the best, then I sort of build on it. And of course, we also spent a couple years ago now, I got a grant and we went to Ireland. I worked with the gentleman who actually wrote the book on traditional Irish basket weaving. Who I you know, had wanted to go see him for many, many years, but we went out and I got to work in his studio, and just living in these little cottages in real rural Ireland. And I was so fascinated by the way they make things work. You know, we tend as Americans to, you know, oh, this is kind of falling apart, we're just going to toss that or move on. And, you know, they're using baskets that are 50 years old that they just put a new base on or a new rim on, you know, over and over. Or, you know, I have pictures of silly little things like, you know, a doorknob that clearly doesn't belong on this barn, but came from someplace else because the other doorknob broke. My favorite picture I think that I took when we were in Ireland is these pictures of these barn doors, and the bottom of the barn doors are a different color red, cut in a zigzag pattern. And I was so fascinated by these doors with the zigzag pattern when I realized that what they did was patch the doors because that was the bottom, you know, where it had brought it off essentially. And so they used a different barn door in a different shade of red and just put in this really kind of fun decorative patch. And so I really like to think about that when I'm working on stuff now, going, okay, how can this be used and how can it be made interesting or fun? And it's just those little accents. They're not perfect, but they're really just, you know, really neat to look at. So I enjoy that a lot.
Wow, that's really great. And, you know, I love the way in which creators like you just take, you know, normal everyday things and be able to turn them into such rich things. And I know that, you know, I'm just curious as far as like, one of the things that I was really fascinated by, Kelly, hearing you talk, especially when you were talking about the getting more working with wool and things. I know, Shannon, you do a lot of fiber arts work, and I was just seeing that there's this potential of shared knowledge that
definitely, yeah, because we both do a little like wool felting kind of a things, and Kelly's using more of a wet right now, and I'm doing more dry, but I want to learn wet. And even
let's connect.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think that's a really good idea. We can share fibers.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, it sounds like Shannon has this great cauldron for you to, like, you know, dye. I'm just curious as far as dyeing goes. You know, now, Kelly, did you say, do you dye? Did you start dyeing, kind of playing around with dyeing? Is that right?
That I started doing about a year ago. I started dyeing feathers. And because I had people ask for certain colors and different hats with like different types of feathers. And a lot of times I couldn't find the actual color I wanted at, you know, online or wherever. And I thought, well, I get all these feathers from friends who are either, they have kids in 4-H that have chickens and turkeys and guinea hens and whatever. And I'm like getting all these feathers from them. I might as well learn how to dye them. So I basically took my baking ware, my stainless steel bowls that I never use because I don't do a lot of baking, and I put them to work. I bought a couple of different colors of dyes. So like blue, the basics, the royal colors like blue, red, green, and like this pink color. So this is one of the colors, and I started just playing around with different kinds of feathers, and it was fun to, you know, depending on how long you let them sit for, what they turn out to be. And so then I started dyeing fur. I have a good friend of mine whose family makes those hats that have the ear flaps or whatever, and they get these little itty bitty scraps of fox fur. And she's like, well, rather than me throwing this out, she goes, can you use it? And I'm like, well, I'd hate for you to throw it out. It's been, you know, that to me, I like reusing and recycling. And so I started dyeing those, and I wish I had an example and I don't, but the colors were just amazing. Like little hair pieces that have, you know, a little bit of purple fox fur and then a brooch. So that was fun. So I was doing a lot of little pieces like that. And then now that I'm doing silk flowers, that was the other part that I'm learning. See, the fur and the feathers are easy to do because they're natural fibers, but then trying to find the right kind of material at the craft store is another story, because the color that you want isn't always going to be the color that you get, because it might be a 50-50 cotton synthetic, or, you know, it just depends. And I'm still learning all of that, but I have had so much fun. I had like 3 big bowls going at once. I had blue, I had red, I had green, and just to see the different colors that came out was fun. And my husband's like, oh my goodness. I mean, I got a whole stack of, well, I've got a couple here, but I've got this blue that, like I said, it's weird how when you dye certain fabrics, so they just come out, if you don't lay them down flat, that's what you get. And actually I love it, because I'm like, I think I should use that for something. It's not perfect. Like I used to be so into making sure everything looked perfect, and now I just like playing around with whatever and seeing what it comes up with. Because to me, it's art. It's wearable art. So
I think, can I just piggyback on that when you're talking about not making things perfect? I think that's been one of my biggest struggles. You know, and I really wrapped my head around that when I was in Ireland, and rods, and there's a lot of ends and there's a lot of beginnings, and trying to you know, just watch them go. They just on the because that's have to be perfectly hidden. It doesn't have to be, you know, pristine. It's just part of the process, and they just keep moving. And I thought that was a really good lesson for me in, you know, there's no such thing. It's handed, and that's how it's done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I know, I personally love that. You know, I love the fact that art is, you know, in many ways, it's beyond recycling, right? So it's taking something in its brute form and turning it into this beautiful wear, or, you know, thing that you can use for anything, or decorate, or give happy, joyful moments to others. You know, there's just like so many ways in which art just really ripples. Yeah, that's really fabulous. So now, Shannon, do you, I'm curious, do you dye? Like, how do you, I know that I have a friend that does a lot of dyeing, and she's always just stretching herself and kind of like finding plants and playing with plants and trying to see what kind of colors. Is that kind of your process too?
You know, no, I actually haven't done a lot of natural dyes, especially when you're weaving. It's one of the things you have to do the right way, you could end up like that. And so, you know, I play with a little bit, but most of the baskets that I weave are actually, I use like a fiber or fabric dye. So it's one of those things that's on the list. And I just really haven't had time to really wrap my head around the plant. In terms of, am I going to use the plant, you know, those sorts of things. And so I'm working on building on that.
And Kelly, it sounds like you're also doing more of the using like dye that's already made.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I haven't quite gotten to the other part. Someday.
Yeah, because you each have really interesting material that you work with, right? So Shannon, I didn't realize that you dyed your reed, like, or not so much your reed, but your materials for the basket making, so that you dye that yourself. And I wonder if you can hear me. Did you hear me, Shannon?
Yeah, I lost you for just a second. I lost you there, but you're back.
Okay. I was just curious. So, you know, because I was just noticing.
Did you?
Go ahead. Did you hear me?
I lost it.
Oh, okay.
No, I did say I was noticing, and then it stopped. Yeah.
Okay. I was just noticing that each one of you is dyeing really different materials. Like some of them are natural materials and others are not necessarily natural materials. And I just was really, I didn't realize, Shannon, that you dyed your own basket weaving materials. So now I learned something new.
See, there you go. Always something new.
I know, that's really great. So Kelly, I'm curious, I know that you were part of an artist market yesterday. How did that go?
It was great. Thanks to the folks over at Bemidji Brewing, what they're doing, because they can't be open for dine-in or, you know, people in to drink their beers. They're on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and through until the holidays. They're doing a Bemidji artist, like an artist market. So they're having a featured artist. So one artist, which is nice because, you know, there's limitations on how many people can be in, you know, any building. And with COVID. So it was just me with my table set up, and got to visit with their staff a little bit, and had a bunch of people come in. And I will say this, they've got a beautiful space there. I don't know what opportunities are, if they have any openings between now and the holidays. But I even mentioned it to a couple of the owners. I said, this would be something great to do down the road. Probably not obviously in this kind of a scale, because hopefully by the new year or after the new year, they'll be reopened to the public. But to have an artist featured on a night that they might not normally be busy would be incredible. And I actually, sadly, because there haven't been any events and I haven't been so busy, I've been making those cotton masks. I put my sewing skills to use when COVID first hit, and had friends that hit me up that knew that I could sew. I have my best friend works down at a hospital in the cities, and I made her and a couple people down there the surgical caps. And so I've been making the masks and just not selling them to make a huge profit, but just to help people out, donating some to like the ODC and Bemidji Fire Department and such. So that I had a table full of the cotton masks. I did sell some of those. I sold a couple of headbands, but for me, it was kind of quiet because there aren't any events coming up. Mm-hmm. But I will be at Heroes Rise Coffee on Saturday from 8 to 3. They're doing a similar thing where they're inviting small businesses there to have a table set up. So I won't have all of my pieces out, but I'm going to have, some select, maybe some holiday stuff. And again, my masks out there this Saturday. So
great. So this Saturday, excellent. So we'll make sure that we can support that and promote that. And Shannon, I'm curious, now you've got like quite an amazing, I know that you have a whole family craft entity at home. You've got this amazing cottage that right now you're in the middle of kind of doing a lot of construction. But I'm curious, do you have anything, so you talked about the invitation for people to participate in what you've got going, Facebook Live. Are there any other ways that people can know what you're up to?
Oh, absolutely. we're not doing any events right now, but we've been doing a lot of our sales just actually off my personal Facebook page and my artist page, the Instagram page, and we have a website called Shop Wildflower Cottage. All of those things are available, and we regularly have people popping in. We have a socially distant box that my girls had commissioned actually for me, so that if people want to come and they want to buy something, they can come and just stop in and pick it up. The top lifts off of it and it's right in my driveway, and people can take their things and go home. And so actually that's been working really well for a long time now, because, in addition to the baskets, like I said, I do jewelry, and we make candles and body butters, lip balms and things like that. And Bridget's been doing a bunch of crocheting type things, and I've been doing some felting. So we've got a lot of stuff going on. We're actually probably going to do a pop-up shop at some point in the driveway, just put up a tent in the driveway and, heat that kind of a thing, because we just have a great location to do that. But, most of the stuff I've sold, and a lot of stuff has been, going just off the daily this or that. It's just people messaging me on Facebook.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's great. And I'm just curious for both of you, are there any kind of opportunities? Oh, sorry, Shannon. Are you good, Shannon? Okay. So I'm curious for both of you, do either of you offer any opportunities for people to learn from you? And if you haven't, is that something you want to consider doing? That if people might be interested, like making these incredible flowers and, and, learning about, I don't know, odds and ends, is that something that you have in sight? Or I'm just curious for people like me who love to just browse crafting opportunities and art making opportunities.
Yeah, I was working on a grant I haven't heard yet back on I'm hoping that will happen. If I don't get the grant in the next couple of weeks, I might just offer them for sale, and then we'll do like this, a Zoom sort of meeting where everybody could do it. I like the idea of everybody working. I mean, I'll do one-on-ones, obviously. Also, if a dozen people or a dozen people to all go on Zoom and learn the same thing together and be able to visit a little bit, that would be really great. And so there's a couple simpler things that I've been thinking would be really fun. Classes. I have started putting on the Grow Bemidji Facebook page. I recently did a little demo this fall on making wreaths out of grapevine. And I also did, sorry, there was a kid in my window, one of mine. And I also did a little video on weaving lavender wands, which is real popular as like a sachet out of fresh lavender, and then you let them dry after you weave them into these little buds. Anyway, those are both on YouTube now, and I share them on these groups. So I'd like to continue to do some of those kind of quick and easy little things just to give people ideas as to where they can go. And, you know, hopefully, again, those will be on Facebook and things too, so.
Well, for me, I'm still learning. So until I get to that point where I feel like I've mastered part of my craft, I probably won't be teaching. Although I have had some, I had a Girl Scout troop reach out to me to see if I would just teach them about making little barrettes and headpieces. So I could do, you know, the basics, but, and I thought it would be fun to kind of do something like that in lieu of the Kentucky Derby, maybe this coming year, if it is on schedule. And doing a little make your own fascinator for the Derby, but it wouldn't be any of the master skills that I've learned. To be honest, those people are masters for a reason. Until I get to that point, I'm not gonna teach that sort of level of a class, but I would love to have a group of you know, young girls or people that are interested in millinery learn a little bit more about hat making. So it would be fun.
Yeah, the basics are awesome. I mean, really, do that. We're in.
Okay.
I know I love hats, and you know, I don't necessarily wear them a lot because I don't necessarily, but I just love hats, and so the idea of doing anything hat related is just very exciting.
Well, you got yourself a deal. I'll teach.
Yay!
I like it. The only hats I have are fascinators from Kelly, actually. That's true. I don't wear hats, but especially the smaller ones that I can put on a headband or something, and then, you know.
Shannon, we lost you. Oh, so.
Oh, I said the only.
Yeah, the only hats that Shannon has are ones that I made. And I know Shannon's favorite color is red, so true. I do know that much. Just got a few red ones.
That's true.
And I think your girls even have a couple of my pieces, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I can see her two girls wearing them.
Oh yeah, I remember when I had my millinery at Shannon's Art and Soul downtown. Oh, those girls, every time I brought in something new, it'd be like, Mom, can I keep one? Shannon would be like, well, you're gonna have to work for that.
True, you got to pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we have probably a half dozen or maybe a dozen pieces. I don't know.
And I have a few of Shannon's baskets. Actually, I got the one basket that hangs by our front door, and it's got the little knobs for the keys, and it's got it just hangs flush against the wall, and it's got a place for the mail. So we've got that, and then I don't know if you can see it behind me. Whoops. Shannon made a crown. I'm gonna point to it.
Oh, wow.
I added it to my collection of my shrine to Kate Middleton because it's a crown, but it was woven by Shannon and I love it. So
yeah, I have to echo that. Shannon's work is pretty amazing, and I just love the way you integrate your antlers into your weaving, because it does give such a unique character to all the baskets that you make, and it's just amazing.
Thank you. I really have fun with those. And it's great because I am not a hunter, although a number of my antlers have come from hunters. Over the years, most of them have just been gifted to me. You know, someone's why you don't want them to go to waste, and they, you know, don't eat them in their pile. So, you know, add that to the things I boil clean in my driveway. You know.
Yeah, it sounds like both of you already have, just like both of you are really receiving a lot of really great things to play with and create with. And I love that. That's so great. Wow.
We're collectors, I believe, aren't we, Kelly?
We are. At least I'm not a hoarder. Well, I shouldn't say I'm not a hoarder, because I've got bins and bins of fabric out in the garage right now. My husband's like, what are you going to do with all that? Eventually I'll make something out of it, but I like going to Anderson Fabrics and hitting up their basement with their scrap bags. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that's the advantage, Kelly. I think there's a clause that's forgiven for artists, that you can't be hoarders because you will eventually create it into something new. At least that's my hope, because I know I have a whole bunch of stuff that I keep, and my husband's like, so what are you going to do with that? I'm like, trust me, I'm going to do something with it. Everything has potential.
Right? That's true.
Yeah. I have to admit, every time I see Shannon's posts on Facebook, this or that, I have to vote. And then I can't wait until she posts what she makes with it. And I'm like, oh, like, I want to buy that. I want to buy that. And they're all beautiful.
That's so great.
I've actually had people really mad that they don't know what the verdict was for the day. I'll get an email that's like, why don't I see the finished product? And I'm like, well, last night it was 1 a.m, so you're going to have to look.
Those darn Facebook algorithms, right?
Yeah, don't blame me. It's how you can follow, you know. Yeah, but I have actually been grumped at for that more than once. Why don't I ever see this?
Just go back to your page, right?
Right, it's easy to find, you know. Actually, even for me, if I need to find something that I made, you know, my daughter's trying to put stuff on the website. She'd be like, when did you make this? 2 months ago. I don't know. I finally figured out the easiest way is actually through Instagram, because they're cataloged. And in Instagram, you can just scroll by the pictures. And then, so it's easier than looking through the photos on my phone. I just go to Instagram, figure out a date, and then I can work backwards.
Well, my dog just decided to make an appearance. Come here. My shop dog.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh, he's a beauty. Usually my cat is over here telling everyone hi, but she's been very good today. She must have known that your dog was going to come on board.
I think so. Yeah, he always has to be the star of the show. He knows when it's time that we're winding down. So
yeah. Oh, well, ladies, it's been such a pleasure to have you today. I was so looking forward to this conversation, and love all that you've been doing and all that you're creating and all the ways that people can engage with you. So thank you again so much for your time and for sharing your gifts and creative inspirations with us. I do realize we were not able to put it on Facebook Live. However, I'm going to post the video on Facebook, and feel free to share it, and then also, grab the video and use it as you need to. Awesome. So thank you so much. Really been a pleasure, and I look forward to touching base with you again very soon.
Thanks, Kathryn.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, Kathryn.
Bye. Bye, Shannon.
Good to see you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.